The best thing about these recent videos is that if you're lucky enough to be following and watching, even if you just found this channel now, you're getting to see the progression of somebody who figured this shit out. 48 years of bullshit, even falling asleep in the wish fulfilled. It was bullshit because it wasn't the I am. Falling asleep in the wish fulfilled. Do you get results? Sure. Do people get results? Sure. Did I get results? Sure. Because the change that you make is before you fall asleep, you're telling yourself a different story. And so obviously, when you start telling a different story, even a little bit different than the story you've been telling, which is falling asleep consistently with all of your troubles and worries, going over how the next day is going to suck, or that it's a rainy Monday like it's fucking raining right now. And most of the people out there, most of the people that I've seen in my experience, and you know what? I'm just going to go out on a limb and say the majority of the fucking people. Rainy Monday, automatically, they're not in a good mood because it's a rainy Monday. But when you know who you are and you wake up and every day you're just saying to yourself, I'm the motherfucking man. This is going to be the best day of my life today. My wealth increases every day. I'm 100% healthy. And whatever else you want to tell yourself, then rainy Monday, it's a great day. It's a great day because you're here in your power. And so I think this is like day 325. So it's been a little less than 4 weeks. And you could probably see a difference between day 300 and day 325 in terms of my energy. I'm being a little more adamant. I'm using profanity a little bit more because that's who I am. So I don't care anymore. If that scares people away, if you've created a world where somebody cursing is more important than the message, there's plenty of cupcakes out there that will give you this message. Probably not the same message because there's nobody out there better than me. There's nobody out there who's going to deliver this message the way that I'm delivering it. And so things are changing, like I said, rapidly in my life. And what I want to talk about is I've been going into, because this is going to help you so much to realize your power, okay? Because this has helped me realize my power even more. It's like every day I'm coming more and more into my power, even though I know it's like, then I go back and I'm getting these flashes of just moments in my life, like where, see, this is why you were like this for so long. Because of this. And so I'm going to give you a couple examples from my life that in that moment, I changed my I am. I changed who I was telling myself I was because of something that happened in my external world. And as soon as I did that, things changed. Growing up, I wanted to be a baseball player. And as I've said in a previous video, anything that you can imagine, anything that seems exciting to you, that you see in your mind is a gift from God. He's saying, this is possible. This could be you. All you have to do is just have faith and believe you are this and that this is possible, and do not waver. And by do not waver, that means don't react to the 3D. Don't let anyone else tell you any different. And so I didn't know that. Most people don't know that. You don't know that unless you're reading the Bible from a certain perspective, because it's all throughout the Bible. There are people that I watch that, they read scripture all the time, and it's all throughout the Bible. But if you're not coming from the perspective and realizing that you're God and holy shit, they're talking about me, they're talking about us, then you could read the Bible 1,000 times and it won't make a fucking difference. You'll still think that God is up in the sky, God is God, and thou shalt not sin, and get on your knees and fucking pray for something outside of you to help you. We're God. We have the power. We're extensions of God. And so growing up, I wanted to be a baseball player. And I was good. I was damn fucking good at baseball. There was a point in probably my early teens where, my dad, I would see my dad every other weekend. I told you about that. And we would go and he would, pitch me batting practice. And he'd be like, hit a home run to right field. Home run, right field, next pitch. Hit a home run to center field. Home run, next pitch, center field. I was that good. 100 degrees out, 105 degrees out. I would coerce my friends to play baseball before going to the pool. They all wanted to go to the pool. But I was like, come on, I got to practice. And so out there in 110 degree, 105 degree, I don't know how hot it was, but it was hot as shit. But I had to get my practice in. Flagging fly balls, batting practice. And I was gung-ho. I was so infatuated with baseball that I could be, and I was the biggest Phillies fan. I would never miss a Phillies game. I would be outside playing wiffle ball. I remember one time I was playing wiffle ball, and this was before cell phones and like clocks and stuff. So if you didn't have a watch, you had no idea what time it was. So it was like 7:02, and the Phillies were supposed to start at 7:05. And Lenny Dykstra was my favorite player. I had to see, and there was no replay. If you missed the at-bat, you missed the at-bat. There's no YouTube, none of that. And so I remember it was like 7:02. My friend asked his mom at 7:02. We were in the middle of a game. I dropped the bat, ran home. I made it just in time for the first pitch. Guy was in his windup. That's how obsessed with baseball I was. Until one day, I just told you about the pool. Went, practiced, went to the pool, and one of the kids, we're standing in line to go on the high dive. And one of the respected kids from the neighborhood, not going to name names, but he is, one of those guys who lives at the local tavern now. So he says to me, I'm talking to my friend who I just played baseball with, and he's like, why are you going? It's so hot. Why are you playing baseball in the heat like that? And my friend who I was talking to, he goes, Johnny's got to practice because he's going to be a Major League Baseball player. He's going to make it to the pros. And the kid says, if he makes it to the pros, I will come back here and dive off the high dive into an empty pool. In other words, no water in the pool. And at that moment, I remember there was a shift inside of me to where it cracked my belief. It cracked my knowing in myself that I was going to do that. And from that moment on, I was never the same. I got cut from the high school baseball team. I just, became a totally different player. I would bet at that point, I was batting third in the lineup, third or fourth. Every single game, I was the best hitter on the team. Next thing you know, I was batting seventh and eighth. And then what did that do? Because my knowing cracked and I started to think different thoughts about myself, I started to see myself differently. The 3D has to reflect your story. And so that's what happened. I never was the same, and I just gave up baseball, and I can't remember the last time I played. And so that's something that came to me recently. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you had confidence and a knowing and a belief in yourself, in a dream. And then maybe your mom or dad and the funny thing is I had all kinds of people telling me that I was crazy, that there's no way that's going to happen, like giving me the odds and stuff and it didn't matter. I was like, whatever, you'll see. But for whatever reason, that moment, he cut through me, cut my heart out, so to speak. But I allowed him to do it. I gave him the power. I could have said in that moment, fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. I could have stood my ground. And if I did, I'd be a baseball player. Probably not now. I'd probably be like an assistant coach or a head coach or something. I mean, I'm 48, so. But my life, it would have been a totally different life. But, it's just an example of how it works. And so if it can work that way, why can't it work the other way? Another instance, I talked about, being like voluntarily homeless before. And, I was at a train station and down the one quarter, and then wound up having an aunt that lived in Texas. And I turned my life around and I got the idea to become a personal trainer. And so I came back. I was in Texas and I flew back, moved into my mom's house, and I had this knowing, because I believed at that point I had started following the law of attraction, and I believed in the law of attraction. And so that's why I went to Texas. I saw this house that I wanted. And so I went to Texas to be in the vicinity of the house. And the law of attraction, this is all you need. Okay, the law of assumption, the law of attraction, all those laws, the law of fucking knowing who you are, that's the only law that you need. Everything else is just steps. If you want to go through steps, and if you want to go through a progression, and I'm getting close and I'm working on it, do all that bullshit. But I'm the person who went through all that stuff and am here now, and I'm telling you, this is all you need. If you want to keep it simple, just start saying who the fuck you are right now. I am. And this will begin reflecting it again. There are many factors in terms of, how soon it starts reflecting it, but who cares how soon? Because you know who you are. You already have it. And so I was following the law of attraction, and I believed in that. I knew that. And I knew that I'm going to be a personal trainer. I didn't know shit about training. I knew about training myself. I was following P90X at the time, but I came back with a knowing and belief in myself. I can teach this shit. I know this. And so I went and I posted on Facebook. I was training people for free. I was obsessed about it, like I had been obsessed with baseball. Fast forward, my wife was a client and we wound up getting together. My business was building to a point to where one of the guys I was training out of my garage, and he actually had a facility. He was a chiropractor, and he was opening up a facility in his building, and he wanted me to train in this building. And so I went and I took a look at it, and I remember I felt this fear come over me. And it was, what if this doesn't work out? Do you see what happens? What if this doesn't work out? And that was it. And I let that question take me over. And do you think that I went through with it after focusing on that question and then making that part of my I am? No. I didn't follow through with it. And then I stayed where I was. I was content. My wife and I got serious, and she had 2 kids. She was a single mom Ex-husband was still in the picture. He was taking care of the kids. You know, they had split custody. I want to give him credit. But on top of that, since we were getting serious, I started thinking to myself, oh shit, I'm going to have 2 kids to take care of and my wife. Is this going to be enough? What I'm doing now? Those thoughts started to come in. And so you have to see what is happening here. Now, things still worked out. We got married, but finances struggled because we had both come from struggle. And I never changed that story. Anytime I would start making more money, I would get scared that it wasn't enough. Fear, doubt, worry. And as I've talked about, that is a state. We're changing states, most of us, all the time. We wake up and it's like, if we feel good, okay, we're in a good mood. If we don't, you know, I don't feel like myself today. You say how you feel. You say it. I talked about how I'd gotten sick a couple of weeks ago, and then I wound up having a little stomach thing. And I was telling myself the whole time, I am healthy, I am healthy the whole time. And I got, I recovered super fast. But we were going to my dad's, so that was on like a Monday, Tuesday, the stomach virus thing. And then like Friday, we were supposed to go to my dad's house. And I've talked about my dad on here, our relationship. And so I hadn't seen him in a while. And so coming off the stomach virus, and I hadn't seen him in a while, kind of like not the old thoughts creeping in, because I am a multimillionaire and this and that and the other thing, but feelings. So I started feeling lethargic, feeling tired. And it was the 3D, it was the old self creeping in with feelings, trying to get me with feelings that would become a state. Feeling lethargic, and then if you're feeling lethargic and feeling tired and you succumb to that, then what do you do internally? You become tired. Oh, I'm tired of thinking, creating the reality that I want. So I'm just gonna ease on these thoughts a little bit. And then the next thing you know, the thought creeps in. And then your I am changes, your state changes, your thoughts change. And then you go back and you're like, this doesn't fucking work. But I saw it happening. I felt it happening. And I'm like, wait, my feelings don't control me. I control my fucking feelings. I say who I am. I am strong. I am energetic. And as soon as I did that, it shifted. That lethargic fatigue went away. Immediately. And so that's why I've been talking about in the last couple videos. Rainy Monday, go in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Look into your own eyes and tell yourself who you are. You are not those feelings and emotions. You decide right now, in this moment, every now, you decide. And you have to keep telling the new story. You can't just tell it for a week and then say, okay, that's good. Because if you're like me, you got 48 years of telling a different story. And so that story is just going to, as soon as I stop, that's why I say it has to be a lifestyle. As soon as I stop, the old story will start to play again. And so I just gave you those two examples of creating negative experiences that were happening because I started telling the story that I didn't want. What if this doesn't work out? What if he's right and I'm not good enough to make the major leagues? What if? So we can create negatively and not know it, right? So I want you to see where I'm going with this. If you can create what you don't want without knowing about the law of attraction and knowing about the law of assumption and knowing about this, that, and Neville Goddard and the other thing, if you can create this reality that you didn't want without knowing all that, and the 3D and the 4D and the internal and the external, then you can do the opposite. Just start telling a different story. Know that you are so powerful that you just created a bunch of shit that you didn't want, but only because you didn't know how it worked. You didn't know how the game worked. You didn't know that you had the power all along. But now you do. Now you do. It's up to you. I made my choice. I'm seeing rapid changes. Rapid. That soon enough, I'm going to be talking about. 25 days ago, I made the decision that my I am is everything, and I'm telling a different story. Go all in. That's the other thing. You have to go all in. You can't just do it for a week or a day and then look outside of you to see what's changing. That shouldn't matter. It can't matter. Because, again, if you're looking for it outside of you, that implies that you don't have it inside of you. And the inside is the real world. That's what gets created. So if I'm looking out here and saying it's not there, then I don't have it in here. And if I don't have it in here, I will never fucking have it out there. You have to have it in here like I have this pen. Ignore this. Doesn't matter. And if something happens in your experience, the 3D tries to tell you that it's not working, switch it around. The other day, I was taking my dog to get groomed. And I came to a stop sign. A lady came to a stop sign a second later. It was obviously my turn. And so I started going, and then she started going, and she goes like this. Like it was my fault. And I reacted. I was like, fuck you. For a second, I was. But then I said, you know what? No, that's not me. And I revised it on the spot. And I made it in my mind that she was waving to me and I was waving to her and I knew her. And it was just a pleasant encounter. I changed it on the spot. And you can do that at any time. I've talked about it before. Somebody says something to you at work that gets you upset. Go in the bathroom, shake it off, revise it, come out, act like it never happened. Put your arm around them. Hey, I just wanted to see how you're doing today. They'll probably look at you like you got 3 heads, but who cares? You're the shit. You call the shots. Your I am is everything. Period. Point blank. If you want to make it hard, make it hard. Make it a process. But if you want to keep it simple, just do what I'm telling you right now. I love you all. See you in the next one.